All right, one down, whole bunch more to go. This week we are in Cleveland. All right, we are the road team and we are facing the Browns, the New York Jets. It's take flight talk with your boys, James Wudi. We got Fitz here and we are talking Jets all day, all the time. All right, and we already know Fitz is gonna have some. He's gonna have some picks today. All right, so I hope everybody's ready to make some money, because he's going to make some picks. And then we got the Woody 3. We're going to break it down. What do we look for in this game? All right. Are we looking at a specific person? Are we looking at a specific group? You already know with the Woody 3. But Fitz, talk to me. This Sunday, the Browns, I mean, how are you feeling?
Optimistic. I'm going to say optimistic. I'm still a little bit depressed from last week. I'm not going to go in and do a whole nother recap on this. We covered Sunday already. What bothers me about last week is we had the talent to win the game. We did not have the game plan. As much as Joe Flacco keeps me up at night, just his name, the face, there's something so boring looking about him. As much as that is the case, I don't think he is that bad that we couldn't win. I don't think he's that bad. The game plan was so much worse, I think, than his performance. So that being said, rolling into week 2, LaFleur's a smart guy. He was not on September 11th, 2022. But besides this one date, there is some evidence to go and show that I think he does have a very good knowledge of football, and I'm hoping he learns from the mistakes that were made last week. Going into the Browns, we got Myles Garrett that we got to be worried about. This is a tough defense, obviously that the Browns do have. We need to be able to develop the run and continuously be able to run in order to win this game. Because if we're relying on Joe Flacco to throw 59 times again, that is not going to work out. That is not a formula that is ever going to win a football game in the NFL. But I want to hear what he has to say, because that is my big – that's what Fitz is looking at. Woody's looking at 3 things. I'm just looking at Mike LaFleur. Please, please don't make me cry and do this again, please. What do we got from Woody?
I mean, that is definitely a very solid point. I think in the bigger picture, we need the kid with the keys. I mean, we need this boy Zach Wilson to appear, save us from the darkness that is the quarterback situation. Now, I've been on record praising Mike White time and time again. I don't think he is a top 40 quarterback in the NFL, but I don't even know if Flacco's in the top 60 right now. You say you don't know if he's that bad. I mean, hey, he can throw a better spiral than me, but I don't think he should be starting games or playing in games in the NFL. I really don't. I think Mike White is better suited, but we need Zach. Now the question is, do we actually need Zach, or do we just need a competent QB? Because we don't know if Zach is that dude. I
think we do. For Zach to be able to do. For Zach to be able to do what he did the last 6 games of last season as a rookie, with his starting wide receivers hurt, with an O-line that was Mickey Mouse O-line, we kind of taped together, throughout the year. Then to go and have no tight ends, one single running back. We have a lot stronger of a team around him now. Last week, if we had Zach Wilson playing, I guarantee you we would have won. And I think it could have been potentially close to a blowout. I will go that far. The game plan was so misaligned for Joe Flacco's play. Joe Flacco could not move in the pocket. This guy looked like an absolute clown being able to move. Zach, what are the things that we know about Zach? He can move. The guy got more accurate as the season went along last year. Coming into year 2 with the jump that we are anticipating out of him, I think we absolutely would have murdered the Ravens last week.
It's anticipation. It's anticipation. It's projection. All right. Everybody gets so hyped because Zach Wilson threw 6 touchdowns in 5 games last year and just, didn't throw
To
interceptions.
who?
What do you mean to who?
To Braxton Berrios, who is at best the third, fourth string wide receiver in the NFL. He was the number 1 last year during that stretch. You got to give him some credit on that.
He played game. You act like the whole team was gone. Like, yes, week 18, against the Bills, things were looking dire, but he played games with Elijah Moore with the comeback. He played games with Michael Carter with the comeback. All right, the offensive line, this Mickey Mouse offensive line, was 11th in the NFL. They wouldn't have even scratched the surface of that number if Zach didn't get hurt, because Zach holding onto the ball was making them look like garbage until Mike White came in and was actually delivering the ball quickly, right? Then Zach was like, oh, okay, that's how I'm not, complete trash. So he wasn't complete trash. But if you're telling me 6 touchdowns in 5 games, yes, no interceptions, this whole game manager, Jimmy G, if he had to throw 59 times, we might be looking at 9 picks. He might have broken an NFL record. There's nothing that has proven to me. And during that time, he wasn't throwing 50 times a game. They were managing his attempts. So there is nothing proven. I think too often you run with projections. But if we're talking about what we have seen, what actually exists, including this year's preseason game, where he was horrendous, there is nothing that tells me for certain that Zach Wilson is indeed the kid with the keys that I actually want to put into the ignition. He might have to pass those keys to somebody else.
If we're talking about projection, you just projected 9 picks if he had 59 attempts. So we're both projecting. I don't want to be hearing you project anything on me or me projecting anything. At the end of the day, there is reason to be excited about what this kid's future holds. I am actually believing in something for once, unlike Woody. Woody's just, I don't know. Maybe he's gonna be good. Maybe there's 9 picks out of 60 attempts. I think he would have won the game. I think he would have made this team look a lot better. Look as good as it really is. This team is not that bad. We got a bad safety. We've got some confusion at right tackle. Besides that, I'm really liking the talent on this roster. And you go and have Zach Wilson come in and play, I could guarantee that we would have won. But again, that is projection. Who knows? We're not there. We need him back desperately. And I agree with that entirely. And I think this is something that, we got to talk about here. He was on the practice field yesterday. He looked good. He was moving around. I want him Sunday.
You want him Sunday?
I want him Sunday. What do we like? This whole, we can't rush him back. We can't do this. If he is cleared to play, he needs to play. Period. I don't care. This guy's been studying tape as he always does. Salah is kicked him out of MetLife to go home because he's watching tape too long. The guy's been moving. The guy is ready to play. I don't think he needs a full week like Salah thinks. I think that's crazy. I think we need to play the guy who can give us a chance to win the games.
At this point, because Zach Wilson's career is tied to Salah, it's tied to Joe. It's actually more tied to Joe than it is to Salah. If Zach fails, they are done. They're out of a job. Okay, so the risk here is actually significantly greater than the reward. The reward, best comes to best, if they start him, right, the absolute best scenario is that they win a football game. Worst case scenario.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be wonderful, actually. Please.
No, it would. But in the grand scheme of things, again, that winning one week 2 game versus shattering this kid. Maybe he's not physically ready. Yeah, he's doing drills. He's not playing game speed NFL action. Okay. We don't know if he has it here. We need him. They need him to be his absolute best self when he returns, because New York, we already know this happens all the time. We are vultures. We were booing Flacco by the 3rd quarter. I was booing him at home in the 1st. But, everybody in MetLife started booing him in the 3rd. All right. Zach is the kid with the keys. Child. He's Lisa's son. Okay. And if they want to make sure that he is absolutely ready and give us. I mean, I would probably play him next week. All right, I wouldn't wait the fourth week, but if I would say, make sure he's ready, because if he fails, if he fumbles, like even if he just comes in right now and they lose, he has a bad game. If he plays like Flacco did, or even a little bit better, but they lose, the media is going to be on him. The fans are going to be on him. All right.
No, so there's a couple of things you said here. Woody, you said Zach needs to be at his absolute best, for us to compete. I'm sorry. You went and also just said that Flacco is probably not a top 60 quarterback in the league. If Zach Wilson's at 50%, he gives us a better chance to win a football game than Flacco does. And I think he's significantly further along than that. He's at the window that we were given from the doctors. And I'm not saying rush him back before he gets clearance from the doctors. I'm saying once he gets clearance from the doctors, if he could at least get 1 or 2 days of practice in, at least, just to go and make sure he's got, gets his timing back. Play the kid. And I think there's going to be a level of forgiveness too. I mean, Jets fans, yes, we are a brutal people. However, when we got this kid coming in after the horrendous performance from Flacco last week, I think there's going to be some forgiveness on the kid if we go and bring him in. And, he has a couple mistakes. There's a little bit of rust on those wheels. Not playing last week, coming back from an injury. Plus the component, if we bring him in, you got to assume LaFleur will make a game plan that is probably a little bit more run heavy, a lot more quicker passes. And that is what we need to be doing anyway. So I think bringing him back in right when he's ready. I don't want to be rushing before he's ready, but right when he is ready, play the kid. LaFleur is going to put together a game plan with quick passes, screens, run plays, trying to go and keep him from having to go and run for his freaking life every play, like unfortunately had to happen last week. So I say play the kid.
I don't know. I mean, it was a pretty easy. Corey Davis was like 6 yards away when he threw that pick in preseason. We already talked about that maybe he wasn't mentally there. He got to get the mentals right. The doctor obviously clears his knee. He needs to clear his head, and that's where Salah and LaFleur, those are the doctors there that get to make that decision. And again, I mean, I think, the honey, I mean, I know you're still on your honeymoon with Joe Douglas, but the rest of us, that period has been ended. Okay. If Zach Wilson does not pan out, that's on Joe. Right. And jobs are on the line. Jobs are at stake. If we, start 0-2 versus 0-3, that definitely is a difference to a team that has championship aspirations, playoff aspirations. We are trying to play competitive games in December. So I don't think that I think the risk of killing Zach and getting fired and a whole new regime again is a greater risk than the reward of being 1-1 versus 0-2.
Well, I'm going to push back on one final thing here that you're saying. I say, God forbid, it doesn't work out with Zach. Joe Douglas and Robert Salah aren't going anywhere. I don't think this is tied entirely to one another. I think that's. I mean, let's look at the history of our dear friends, the Johnson family, and their history of how they deal with coaches. Bowles stuck around too long. Gase shouldn't have been hired in the first place, but his second year was undeserved. Fans hated this man from year one, and he's still got a second year. Todd Bowles, I mean, my goodness, the first year with Todd Bowles, not too bad. Very much downhill from there. I think looking at the history that the Johnsons have, it requires some significant pressure from fans for them to go and make any moves. They're not going to make any moves unless fans are not blowing up their DMs, screaming on the field, saying to fire certain people. And what we have seen to this day, you go and scroll through Jets Twitter, and you still have Joe Douglas in sunglasses and a chain looking like a thug from these Jets fans from loving this man. Same with Salah. And I think they need more time. Why is the Jets roster, where it is today? A massive turnaround from Jermaine Kearse days of being our wide receiver one. I mean, how you get there is having 3, 4, 5, 6 years straight of horrific draft performances. We went a long stretch where we could not get anybody to land past their rookie contract. Now, we had one bad draft with Joe Douglas. We need to go in and say that. That is absolutely the case. 2020 was a nightmare. I think that was heavily influenced by Gase. We've talked about this. I don't know how much this was 100% on him. I do give him a pass. Salah has had 2 straight drafts that we could lean towards saying were very good. Still early to go and say for sure. We need to go and see how that they finish up the rookie contracts. He has got us on a track right now that we have not seen in some time. And this is not going to be something that's going to get us in the Super Bowl after 2 nice drafts. It's going to have to take 3, maybe 4, before we have a roster that is strong enough and deep enough to be able to go and do this. He said he wanted to build through the draft. That gives him a couple extra years. So I don't think his whole career is really that contingent on Zach Wilson's success.
Well, if they continue to lose at the incredible rate of loss that they have, you talk about Adam Gase and Todd Bowles, both of them. In Todd Bowles' first year, we had a winning season. In Adam Gase's first year, we were 7-9. And you're saying, oh, we shouldn't have got him a second. We shouldn't have given him a second year. I mean, Robert Saleh is picking in the top 5. All right. And we're looking at another year where projections of wins is not really realistically exceeding 7. So, I mean, if we do go on a path where Zach is not the guy and we are, again, picking in the top 5, then the pressure will be on. And he will have a worse record than his predecessor who was fired in 2 years. So, yeah, how can you say if we have another bad year picking in the top 5 that this entire regime is in serious jeopardy?
I can guarantee you in 2023, no matter what happens this year, Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh will be in the same positions that they're in.
0-17, no matter what happens. If they go 0-17, no one's getting fired. 2 wins. Four wins in 2 years. No one's getting fired.
Honestly, I don't think so. I really don't, because the only way that could possibly happen is if we get slaughtered with injuries again. Like that, there's no way. There's too much talent on this roster. If at the very least, it's going to be Mike LaFleur that's going to get kicked out. It's going to be Jeff Ulbrich that's getting kicked out before the Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. Because if we go 0-17, which is not happening, that is not happening.
Well, you said no matter what happens. That's what you said.
I know, and I did, and I stand by it. I'm still defending it. But that is not going to happen. But even if it does, you're going to go and have Mike LaFleur or Jeff Ulbrich on the chopping block before Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. That is what I think.
All right. Well, some crazy statements being made here, but
I agree. You've said some crazy stuff today. I agree. I totally agree with you.
I didn't say that, but you know what? We will switch gears. Okay, we will bring it to the one, the only, the Wudi 3, where we're looking at different things. All right, we're looking at different things this week, and I'm actually embarrassed to admit this, but one of these things is actually very similar to the one from last week. But we got a game. It's definitely a winnable game, just like last week, so it's possible. And the big thing is that run defense that I was looking at last week. Last year, it was so bad. We were so bad. I was looking for 130 yards. Can you hold this great rushing attack to 130 yards? 64 yards. The lowest in Lamar Jackson's career as a starter. Any Lamar Jackson team, playoffs, which he has been horrible in, or regular season, they've never had a number so low with, our boys getting green, shutting it down. I mean, Salah's front 4 rotation, I don't think we were big fans, right? But it was working. It was working because each wave was getting pressures. Everybody, Jacob Martin, he's really looking like, kind of like an underrated signing. I mean, he was part of that tie for the most pressures on the team. I mean, these waves, he had no rest. I loved it. Now you could say, Well, the Ravens were without their top two running backs. The Ravens were without their top two left tackles. That they had a third string left tackle. They were decimated by injuries last year, and they didn't have a total like this. So I don't want to hear that. But if there are plenty of negative Nancy's out there, I'm giving them the same 130 mark this week against the Browns, which is kind of crazy because they just gashed up the Carolina Panthers for 217 yards. That was second most in week 1. So, I mean, we already know Chubb and Hunt might be, in my opinion, they are the best running back tandem in the NFL. Okay. These guys do run a lot. They're going to keep running to protect Jacoby. Like they actually protected Jacoby, like what we should have done for Flacco. And they did serious work. So if we can, and to be honest, I think 150 is a more reasonable expectation. But if we can do 130 again, if we can hold them under 130, then we know that our defense is legit. Like not just really improved. It's legit. So that is the first point of the Wudi 3. What do you think?
I absolutely despise that you go and jumped it up to 150. I'm bringing it down to 120 now. I want to 120. This defense, and so when you said we didn't like the rotations, when we were talking about this going into week 1, I was asking you, what the heck are we doing? Not having Jermaine Johnson, starting, and maybe having JFM come inside, but we wanted the bigger body with Solomon Thomas. I love the rotations. I think, the rotations is something that actually got me excited because when I saw the depth chart out the gate, I was like, oh, wow. I mean, we're leaving a lot of talent on the bench, with Michael Clemens, obviously Jermaine Johnson and Jacob Martin. So I was thrilled to go and see some rotations go in there. And that is, I think, the only way. I mean, you go and keep these guys. I mean, when you have that much talent in such a physically demanding role, of going to battle on that line, having those extra pieces that can come in fresh, get some fresh legs in there, and then really not, drop the talent level. I mean, it's really just different. Each of them have different things that they bring to the table that it's going to keep the defensive line guessing now. Now it's not just I'm going up against the same guy. We're going and learning each other's moves. I've got to, okay, who is this? Oh, what was he doing? Like it really keeps the offensive line like in a really tough spot. Yeah. So I thought that was tremendous. I loved it. And I'm taking your 130 and I'm seeing you 120 because we could do that.
I mean, that would be unbelievable. 217. This is an elite team. And not only do they run the ball, right? They were the number 2 rushing attack. They were also the number 2 rushing defense of week 1. So that is actually the second point. I actually took your rant, right? And it is in the Wudi 3. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go to sidetosidesports.com and you look at the Wudi 3 article, there is a link directly to Fitz's rant about Joe Flacco throwing 59 times because that's something that nobody wants to see again. And all 5 of his most attempts thrown came with L's. All right. So we don't want him throwing the football. We want to be running. But against the Browns, the second best run defense of week 1, Christian McCaffrey, I think we would all agree, is a 2-time All-Pro running back, one of the best, most talented running backs in the league. And he was managing 3.3 yards per carry. All right. As a whole, as a team, they averaged 2.8. So, they got a stout run defense. Obviously Myles Garrett, as the captain down there, but everybody like on the line, they're linebackers, they're the sophomore, forgive me, super African name, but they have a lot of talent, a lot of fast guys out there. So now what my fear is that now we finally have the balance, like maybe our passing and rushing attempts are equal, but our rushers, Michael Carter, and don't get me wrong, Michael Carter, he has a special elusiveness. That's not a Jets bias. Like he was number 2 in the league in those yards after contact for the whole year last year, not just one game.
It was the whole year last year, and then last week was the same case as well.
picking up where he left off.
Yep.
But I don't know. I feel like now we're gonna run it more, but we're actually going to be much less successful, and it's gonna put us, behind the. We're gonna see a lot of 3rd and 9s that don't get converted. That's how do you feel about that? That's a Wudi 2.
Well, yeah. I mean, I when you are averaging 6 yards per attempt, like Michael Carter was, you could be 75% less successful and still have a four average, 4 yards per attempt number, which is really not bad whatsoever. I mean, that's pretty much the line for anything above that you consider pretty good. I agree. It's going to be very hard. I mean, 6 yards per carry. I mean, that's MVP numbers. If you do it for a whole season, you get enough attempts. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I totally hear what you're saying. I think, again, and this is something that we said about the D line, as well as what I love about our running back situation too, is having those fresh legs. Being able to go and have them rotate in and out. Keep them fresh and healthy. Brees is the lightning. I mean, this guy is so quick. We saw some of the speeds he was putting up last week. Love to see the quickness out of him, and then having Michael Carter just being able to he's butter. I mean, this guy is you can't tackle this guy. So I think we're gonna be a problem in the run game for the Browns defense. Again, hoping that we do it more, hoping we get more attempts, and hopefully it's not just a bunch of dive runs up the middle and we get, creative with it. Hopefully LaFleur is tapping into the playbook that he broke out for the first few weeks last year again, because I don't know what playbook this was last week, but I've never seen this playbook from him, even during his darker days of last year. So
you think that Michael Carter and Breece Hall are better than Christian McCaffrey? Like, you think they will have more success than two-time?
I would definitely say that. Yes, mark me down as yes. This running back duo is better than the running back duo. Solo.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you're just saying some crazy. Who gave you your coffee this morning? Was there little Bailey's in it?
I'm at the hotel. The breakfast wasn't Fat Continental, so I got a nice little coffee from the hotel. But all right. Then you know what? Let's make a wager. We are going to be making a wager, ladies and gentlemen, of if Michael Carter and Breece Hall have more yards than Christian McCaffrey did rushing against the Browns defense.
The Carolina Panthers. I mean, Christian wasn't the only rusher that game.
Fine. Then total rushing yards, us versus the Panthers. And we're going to figure out something to wager on this.
Fair enough.
We'll be posting it to the Instagram account, so plug in.
All right. It should be noted, though, that our O-line is literally 5 times better than the Panthers O-line.
Oh, and we're already coming up with excuses. Oh, my God. Oh, this is going to be good. We're going to make you do something fun, buddy. That's going to be a good one.
First, I won't even comment. All I'm saying is that they are like, what do you mean? Christian, you're trying to tell me that these two men are better than Christian McCaffrey, which is definitely sounds crazy. I'm hoping, I mean, if they don't get as many rushing yards as the Carolina Panthers, that would actually be a serious problem. They got like 60 yards, 50 yards. All right. So I mean, I feel like that's almost a ridiculous bet to make that the Jets won't get 50 rushing yards. I can't make that. I can't. What kind of bet is that? What kind of bet is that? But talent-wise, Christian McCaffrey and Chuba Hubbard is better than Michael Carter and Breece Hall right now.
Well, we do know that you're a big Panthers guy. Ever since your girlfriend Sam Darnold went to the Panthers, Woody has been singing the Panthers' praises. He even moved to North Carolina. He loves the Panthers so much. So I understand that you do have a Panthers bias. I do get that, and I appreciate that. No, I'm here for you, Woody. I'm a Jets fan.
How many people on planet Earth are going to tell you that they'd rather have Michael Carter than Christian McCaffrey?
Well, that's not what we said. So now you're changing the game now.
I'm saying
I will take the duo of Michael Carter and Breece Hall over the solo player of Christian McCaffrey. I will do that 10 out of 10 times. Christian McCaffrey is hurt. This guy hasn't had a full season in seemingly decades now. So no, I don't want the guy that's constantly hurt, though he is very talented. I'm not taking anything away from that. He's very talented. He also is, I think, overutilized, which hurts his health. So all factors considered, yes, I'm going to take our two boys over their one.
All right. Well, we got one more point left of the Wudi 3. And this is a more pleasant one, one that's not really in controversy, one that's not like, oh, I hope, it's actually Eric to Garrett. I mean, Garrett Wilson, he had a really nice debut. I compared his stats to his fellow rookies, right? All the rookies out there. He was the second most targeted rookie in the NFL last week. Number one was actually kind of crazy. He was a 6th-round pick from Tennessee, Kyle Phillips. And they got Treylon Burks over there, so that's pretty interesting to me. But, Garrett, he was number 2, and he was number 3 in yards after catch. So, we saw the play where, Flacco threw up. I don't even know what he threw, but, Garrett ran all the way back to catch it, right? Would have been a 1-yard gain. And then he, was juking and jiving all the way to 1 yard out from the first. Now, as a matter of fact, I don't even think it was 1 yard. I feel like if he just extended, he probably would have got it. But, better safe than sorry. Great move. So, really, it's like that electricity. I feel like every single time, Garrett Wilson caught the ball, you knew it right off the catch. Like, you didn't have to look at the number. You just felt the electricity from this child. So I think that's really exciting. Compared to the rookies, other rookies got a little bit more yards, but they also had a little bit more accurate throws from the quarterback. Garrett was targeted, which means he's getting open, but the throws haven't quite been there. But when he does catch, yards after catch, I feel like that's actually the only reason why he's not number one, because he doesn't have the most catches. If I did yards after the catch per catch, maybe he'd be number one. But yeah, super excited. Electric receiver, and a way better debut than Elijah Moore last year. So
that drop. Yep. Well, I'm with you. I think I would love to see some more of the same from Garrett Wilson. Where I think this stat is slightly bloated, of him being the most targeted, is that we had too many targets in the first place. We should not be throwing the ball 59 times. But that's still good to see. And I think we're going to have a whole season, this guy getting open constantly. This guy is, there was a couple clips that I saw where he was getting open and wasn't even looked at. So, in addition to the attempts thrown at him, there was a handful of other plays where the guy got open downfield. So once we go and have Zach come back and we put together a better balance, in our game plan, I think that's only going to open up more opportunities for him. I think also having Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, I would love to see him have a good season. And this is one of the things that we talked about before the season began is, what is good stat lines for Zach, for Elijah Moore, for Corey Davis. At the end of the day, would you love to see all these guys have 1,000 yards receiving? Of course. But, when you've got two great running backs and then you've got, three very good wide receivers. I love our wide receiver trio. I love it. I really am a big fan of it, to the point where, before we went and got Garrett Wilson, I was saying, I want A.J. Brown. We were talking about this. I want A.J. Brown. Dump the bag on him. I don't care. Get me A.J. Brown. And, yeah, the guy's good. And that would have been a very fun thing to have. And if we had A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, and Elijah Moore, good grief. I'm so prayers out for that cornerback team. But I love this, and being able to have him on a rookie contract, have him locked up for 4 years at a good cost, allows us to go and put our money elsewhere. So I think this is a great Wudi 3. I think these are 3 things here that if we put together the right game plan for, to go and utilize Garrett Wilson's strengths, be able to run the ball, get a better balance, with our offensive game plan and keep them under 130. That's a formula to success for me. I love that.
All right. Well, we'll see if the Jets can get the dub. Speaking of dubs, it is time for Fitz's picks. All right. So take out the pen and paper. All right. Because Fitz is going to tell you how to win some money, even though he was dead wrong about the Carolina Panthers and Baker's revenge game.
Well, hold up. We'll have to go back to the tape. But I actually didn't make any picks last week. I don't know if you heard something different. I don't know where you're getting your information from. There were no picks last week. We had a nice little mulligan week one. If you took my word as scripture, you would be lining up at Bank of America to take out a loan so you can cover your rent this week. So I hope you did not listen to my picks last week.
I mean, even Seattle was crazy though. I mean, that's not we can't blame that on you. I mean, Broncos country just didn't ride.
Oh my God. Let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. So that was a brutal week one. These things always happen. Week one is always tough for the NFL. I remember last year, a lot of games that should have gone one way end up going the other. But so week two, I don't love a lot of these matchups. I'm going to just go and say this up front. Now, I did put together I put together a parlay, and then I actually have 4 underdog games to look at. I'm not necessarily saying that they are going to win for sure, but 4 underdog games to look at. So first parlay, it's paying out plus 978. I've got the Colts at the Jaguars. I think the Colts are going to come in ready to play against the Jags. I have the Dolphins beating the Ravens in Baltimore. That is an underdog game that I think is going to be a lock. The Dolphins looked tremendous last week. The Ravens really did not. And the Dolphins, I'm not a big Tua guy, but their defense is tremendous. You got some phenomenal pieces on offense. If the Jets are almost able to beat the Ravens, I think the Dolphins will be able to pull that off. I got the Bengals at the Cowboys. I mean, if that's not the guarantee of the century, if the Cowboys beat the Bengals this week, I'm going to do a naked. I'm going to have to do a naked lap. So I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to get punished because I think that is the absolute biggest guarantee for week two. Then we got Raiders hosting the Cardinals. I like the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are a good team until D-Hop comes back. I've got some questions on that offense. I love James Conner. I have him in literally every single fantasy league I have. But I think the Raiders are going to come out firing. I think the Raiders are an underdog, long shot team to win the AFC West. Their defense is good. Bringing in Devontae Adams, I think they could make a solid run for the playoffs this year. Next, I got the Packers hosting the Bears. I think my boy Aaron Rodgers is going to bounce back. He was dealing with some injuries last week with the wide receiver crew. Lazard did not play. It seems like he's going to be game time this week as well. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen with that, but he likes to go in and play against the Bears. Aaron Rodgers had a tremendous year last year, and his week one performance last year was probably even worse than this one last week. So he's going to bounce back, bringing the Bears into town. I have no concerns over him. I'm sure he's mid-trip on that ayahuasca, whatever the hell he does, to get back in the right mentality, get another tattoo of an eye and then a rising sun or whatever the hell he's doing. Then last, I've got the Bills hosting the Titans. The Bills very well might go 17-0 this year. If you want to make money, throw the line on the Bills. They're going to win. So that is the parlay: Colts, Dolphins, Bengals, Raiders, Packers, Bills, paying out plus 978. And now I've got 4 games, individual games, that the underdog, I think, has a very solid chance to pull off of a win. But I'm not necessarily picking them as a guarantee. So these are some games I want to get on your radar. Seattle at 49ers. This is paying out plus 310. Geno Smith I dare I say, Geno's veteran quarterback, Geno Smith, looking like a snack week 1. My Lord. You know, that's just one of those that hurts. You know what I mean? That's as a Jets fan seeing this kid doing what he did. But that's paying out plus 310. The 49ers did not look good last week. Elijah Mitchell is down. Trey Lance can't dance in Chicago. So
It was also like a monsoon out there, but yes.
And Justin Fields dealt with a monsoon as well. So they still lost. They did not look so great. So we're going to see what this game looks like. But
no, that's a good pick.
Next, I've got Steelers hosting the Patriots. Steelers obviously have TJ Watt down. I think the Patriots are massive frauds. The Steelers defense, even with TJ Watt out, still was eating up lines. I love that defense that they have there. The Patriots, Devontae Parker was he was a non-factor week 1. Hunter Henry was a non-factor week 1. I think Mac Jones against a fast defense like the Steelers, he couldn't handle the fast defense of the Dolphins. I think he's going to struggle against the Steelers as well. That's paying out plus 108 Steelers over the Patriots in Pittsburgh. Third out of 4, I've got the Saints hosting the Bucs. The Bucs, if you looked at the injury list for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you've got Brady, Godwin, Leonard Fournette, the starting cornerback. The whole team is on the injured list. Who knows how many of them are going to play versus not play? There is still a pretty dramatic, talent differential, between the starting teams of the Bucs versus the Saints. However, if they unleash Jameis and the Bucs have a cornerback that's out, if Tom Brady doesn't play or if he's just still a little banged up from week 1, this is one to keep an eye on. This is Saints beating the Bucs is only plus 120. So I think even Vegas has this, especially considering the fears about this, these injury concerns. That's actually a closer line than you would think for those two teams. Lastly, I got Jets at Browns, paying out plus 235. I'm putting this on the list as something to look at because if the Jets can put together the right game plan and we run the ball, our defense steps up the way it did last week. I don't think our safety, please, I'm not jinxing this. I don't think our safety woes of Jordan Whitehead probably not playing and LaMarcus Joyner being the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life.
It's not worse than Ashton Davis. You need to calm down with that, but keep going.
That's fair. But week 1, I didn't have to see Ashton Davis. So he's now we're going to probably have to see him week 2. If we're able to go and have our cornerbacks do what they did last week, have our D-line do what they did last week, have our linebackers, perform the way they did, helping out with the stuff in the run. Jacoby Brissett, I'm not too worried about going deep on our safeties. And I'm hoping I'm not going to eat those words. But if we're able to avoid the safeties killing us week 2 and we put together a strong offense, a better game plan, I could absolutely see the Jets beating the Browns week 2. But again, there's some factors here that I am not fully confident in, but I'm hopeful in. And I said it last year, I'll say it again. I believe in Mike LaFleur. What do you think? Any crazy picks here? Sounds like you just.
I actually love the underdogs. I'm actually kind of surprised that the Steelers are the underdog of that game. All the other ones are valid. Please, anybody listen to this, do not put any money on the Jets. That is Fitz doesn't care about you. I can't believe he actually said that. I cannot believe he said that. Because he just doesn't care as much as I thought he did. Every other pick was good. For the parlay, the only one that makes me nervous is the Raiders Cardinals. The Cardinals defense is definitely not great. As a matter of fact, it's really bad. I actually think that's where they've messed up this offseason. They lost Chandler Jones, they lost a couple other pieces, and they didn't reload at all, literally at all. So, they needed to fortify their line. They didn't really do that. Like, that was their hole. Now they have 2 holes. I mean, for a team that's ascending and making, trying to make the playoffs, continuously. They made it last year. They're trying to rise from where they were last year. I feel like they had a really shady offseason,
And then to build off what you're saying, not only did the Cardinals lose Chandler Jones, they lost him to the Raiders that they're hosting.
Yeah, so still, Kyler's Kyler and all that, but I think the parlay should hit. That was the only one that I was iffy on, and then for the underdogs, I feel like all of them have a case for sure. Besides the Jets, stop. Do not put any dollar that you earn. If you find $20 on the sidewalk, sure, throw it, but definitely don't put your hard-earned money on the team that is the New York Jets with Joe Old Yeller Flacco. Stop it. You better.
James Wudi, when the Jets, when Michael Floor comes out and puts together a better game plan and we eat up the run game for the Browns, I'm going to be clipping everything that you're saying here, and I'm going to be blasting it through our Instagram channels of saying, don't put money on the Jets. Don't put money on the Jets. Oh, it's going to be all over the internet. I'm going to pay for marketed ads. I'm going to pay Instagram, and I'm going to promote this post of you saying, don't bet the Jets.
Look at Fitz Salah over here taking receipts. He can't wait to share them when the Jets.
They got it right here.
He's keeping receipts. So it will be really funny to hear him saying this on a marketed ad when the Jets do what they do. But yeah, Fitz Salah with the receipts. I got a receipt. I can scrunch up some receipts somewhere. But yes, everybody, this has been Take Flight Talk. I mean, this is truly the best Jets coverage that I've seen. Okay. I mean, we are breaking it down all around. Okay. Not giving you the silly nonsense of ESPN, the silly fodder, right? Of nothing. We're talking X's and O's, and we're talking about how the Jets can compete. So next time you're ready for takeoff, make sure to give us that subscription. All right. Follow us on Instagram because we're posting content. We're posting clips. We're posting everything. All right. And until next time, let's go Jets.
See you guys Sunday.